This video is brought to you by True Tales of Buried Treasure, the largest collection of old treasure magazines in the West. On our website, you can search for individual treasure stories by region, or buy our original magazines themselves. To pay us a visit, please click on the link in the description. Enjoy. In the twilight of 1864, the South felt the cold breath of defeat on its neck. The relentless northern onslaught had scattered Confederate forces like dust in the wind, leaving them bereft of sustenance and support. With scarce rations and ammunition, the Southern spirit flickered in the face of impending doom. Yet amidst the shadows of despair, Confederate President Jefferson Davis forged a daring gambit to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. His plan, cloaked in secrecy, aimed to strike deep into Northern territory, risking all for the sake of Southern salvation. But this audacious scheme held more than just tactical significance. It whispered of hidden treasures waiting to be unearthed, a tantalizing tale in the annals of Civil War lore. Davis dispatched a band of stalwart rebels, led by the cunning Jacob Thompson, to infiltrate the wilds of Canada. There, on the rugged frontier near the Quebec border, they established a clandestine base, plotting in the shadows to outwit their Union adversaries. Their eyes gleamed with avarice at the sight of the USS Michigan, lone sentinel of the Great Lakes, its steel hull a beacon of Union might. To seize her meant gaining a strategic foothold, with the keys to unlock the riches of Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo lying within reach. But fate intervened, and Thompson's best-laid plans crumbled like sandcastles before the tide. Their attempt to capture the Michigan ended in naught, with only a modest riverboat falling into their grasp, a mere ripple in the vast expanse of war. Undeterred by this setback, the Confederates pivoted to a new scheme, setting their sights on the bustling streets of New York City. Armed with incendiary devices, they infiltrated the city's opulent hotels, weaving webs of deception as they plotted destruction beneath the city's glittering facade. Yet, fortune frowned upon them once more, as their bombs lay inert, a cruel jest of fate. Frustrated but undaunted, Thompson and his band of renegades turned to a simpler pursuit, raiding northern cities for spoils to fuel the Confederate war machine. In the tumult of war, where uncertainty reigned supreme, they sought to carve their own path to victory, one daring escapade at a time. As dawn broke on October 18, 1864, the Confederate conspirators stood poised for action. Disguised as everyday civilians, this band of 22 Confederates crossed the border into Vermont, their eyes set on the nearby town of St. Albans. The town slumbered in its tranquil state, oblivious to the storm brewing on its doorstep. No inkling of trouble stirred within its streets as the strangers slipped unnoticed into its midst. With past failures haunting their minds, the Confederates were determined that this time success would be theirs. At the stroke of 3 p.m., they sprang into action, dividing into 4 groups. One group held the townsfolk at bay, while the others descended upon the 3 banks flanking St. Albans Square. In a flurry of swift action, the raid was executed, and the Confederates thundered out of town, laden with a fortune exceeding $100,000 in gold coins and paper currency. Initially, the stunned citizens of St. Albans believed themselves prey to the exploits of a bold outlaw gang. It was only later that the truth emerged, that it was indeed Confederate soldiers who had orchestrated the daring heist. A posse was hastily assembled, but their pursuit was futile, as the Confederates had vanished across the Canadian border. In the days that followed, Canadian authorities apprehended 14 of the raiders, though the bulk of the loot, totaling over $114,000, remained elusive, leaving the town of St. Albans to grapple with the audacious theft committed by Southern hands. The captured Confederates openly admitted to their involvement in the daring robbery. It seemed they had halted shortly after the heist, portioned out a share of the spoils among themselves, and swiftly concealed the remainder. As they faced the gallows, each maintained a steadfast silence, refusing to divulge the whereabouts of the hidden treasure, or even which side of the border it had been secreted upon. Despite the fervent efforts of the St. Albans banks, who offered a reward of $10,000 for the recovery of the missing gold, no soul stepped forward with information. For a time, locals scoured the known path taken by the Confederates into Canada, digging and searching in vain, yielding nothing of consequence. The fate of the 8 Confederate soldiers who evaded capture remains shrouded in mystery. It is rumored that one of them returned to the vicinity of St. Albans following the war's end. Legend has it he was sighted digging near Highgate Springs, a stone's throw from the U.S. side of the border. However, his efforts proved fruitless, and he departed the area without the elusive treasure. His presence fueled speculation among the townsfolk, with many convinced that the loot lay hidden on American soil. Yet dissenting voices proposed a different theory, that the raiders, recognizing the Confederate cause was lost, opted to keep the entire bounty for themselves. According to this belief, they divided the spoils amongst themselves and concealed them in individual caches, scattered across both sides of the border, ensuring their wealth remained forever elusive. There exists compelling evidence suggesting the validity of this latter conjecture. In 1898, a young woman traversing the vicinity of Highgate Springs stumbled upon a fragment of a leather bag protruding from the rocks. Within it lay a cache of decomposed U.S. paper currency dating back to the 1860s. 3 years subsequent, a businessman enjoying a picnic not far from present-day Franklin unearthed a Confederate belt buckle amidst the fields. Although the buckle's discovery deviated from the known escape route of the raiders, its likely origin tied it closely to the St. Albans raiders themselves. Then, in 1932, a Confederate canteen surfaced on the Quebec side of the border, just south of contemporary Phillipsburg. Nestled alongside it, wrapped within an old cloth hat, rested $400 in gold coins. While these discoveries fall short of providing conclusive proof, they serve as tantalizing breadcrumbs hinting at the lingering presence of the St. Albans loot. Indeed, they beckon to the intrepid and fortunate treasure hunter, suggesting that the elusive bounty may yet be unearthed by one bold enough to persist in the pursuit. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to read the original article or purchase the magazine from which it was taken, please check out our website, truetalesofburiedtreasure.com.